KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
It's just not the same. When
I had to do it in mono for Joe.
Yeah, well, Joe called up and said the limo broke down on 59.
And look who just came in.
And he just finally did.
I missed it? Did I miss it?
No,
you missed it right there. I had to do it. Mono.
That's just not right.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it?
So I've got your orange juice here for you.
Oh, thank
Mr.
you.
Orsack. I'm thinking of
Great way to start the day.
Yes.
So we've got a pretty interesting show today.
We have a very interesting show today.
And so what are we
That's a
talk about?
switch.
Yeah, it's, right.
Try something new.
But you know what we're talking about today is we're going into real estate, and we're going to start off with talking about buying a new home, actually buying a custom home from a great company who has multiple companies out there, but Trendmaker Homes and Avanti. And they actually have a very special guest they brought into the studio for us today.
And so it's Pamela Blackwood-Ray. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. And welcome.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Well, we're
today?
doing great. So
I just automatically want to go, Avante.
No, well,
No?
well, don't.
Oh, no.
Actually, the first thing when you said her name, Pamela Blackwood-Ray, I just thought about PBR. It's early in the morning, but...
We're still recovering from last week's show, which we actually lost Ashley, our producer, a couple of times during that show. I thought we'd have to, sign off on our own.
I would agree with you right there. Of course, this week will be no different.
Yeah. Yeah, we set the bar pretty low.
We raised the bar to new lows.
So, I always love to ask our guests, most people did not start their life saying, hey, I'm going to go to college, get out, become a realtor, starve for a couple of years, and make it. So, you've been in the business
18
years.
Yes.
18 years.
And so, what motivated you to get into real estate?
She started when she was 11.
People. I love people. Talking to people, meeting someone different every day.
Have you met them?
Oh, yes. All types.
I'm kidding. I love people, too.
Yes. But I don't get. Now you threw her off.
I would say that after working in the medical field for a little while, I think that it was a whole lot easier to sell doctors' homes. And it was easier to work with the medical people. And, of course, being in Houston, we have a lot of medical, oil, and gas.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would absolutely
probably the number
agree.
one medical center in the country. I think I can safely say.
Well, one of the things we talk about all the time is if you look at the employment of Houston, everyone looks at oil and gas as being, the number one. But actually, the largest employer by employee count is actually the medical profession, healthcare. That is correct. I mean, we have the number one in terms of, and I think in terms of quality as well, but number one in terms of employee medical center. And then if you look at what's happened, especially down in Clear Lake, look at what you've got. You've got over in Galveston, you've got the UTMB down there, which employs a lot of individuals as well.
They have really grown.
I know for certain the children's medical cancer research, et cetera, is number one in the country.
Absolutely.
Well, we did. I had actually attended a presentation on the medical center, and I think it tops. If you took just the core medical center, it ranks in the top 30 city size.
Oh yeah,
building square footage, things like that. So it's huge. But
it's bigger than Rhode Island.
Yeah, everything's bigger than Rhode Island.
But what is it?
So, but let's get back to our with Pamela here and talk about.
I offended all of the Rhode Island people. All 12 of them.
So you are currently with Keller Williams.
Keller Williams, Clear Lake. Yes.
It's going to be one of those kind of shows today, isn't it?
What's going on in Clear Lake? Let us know a little bit about that, because Clear Lake's one of those little. I tell everybody it's one of the areas that is very strong, has a lot of activity going on. But, if you're in the proper area of Houston, when I mean proper, like Houston proper, the surrounding area, you don't hear a lot about Clear Lake, and there's a lot of good stuff going on down there.
A lot of people will move to Clear Lake instead of going into Galveston because they do want to be on the lake, but maybe they don't want to be on the beach. It is a community that is very supportive of all the children down there. Quiet community. And believe it or not, I believe that it's League City that actually ranks as in the top 4 in the nation for boats.
For
Really?
boats.
In the
Really?
nation. Yes.
That is pretty amazing.
We'll
Well, and there's a
Google
lot
that
of
later.
activity going on down there also. I mean, y'all had Tuscan Lakes that was being built out there. You've got a new Trendmaker community going on down there. So every time I go down there, I mean, I'm one of those that, the only thing I know of is Kemah, right? So
You have kids.
that is correct, But you mentioned about boats and about kids.
Yes.
It's a very kid-friendly area.
Exactly. And, in League City, Trendmaker was building their homes there. They were also building over in Friendswood. Now they are in the process of opening a new subdivision, which is going to be over towards the Bay Oaks area, which is considered Clear Lake. And hopefully, Trendmaker should have those homes up and going by the 1st of next year, and at least a model home by then.
That is awesome.
So if you're out,
a big concern about NASA, because when we're cutting back on the space program stuff, people were really concerned what was going to happen to Clear Lake and the surrounding areas, because a lot of employees were living in there. But it has gotten diverse enough that it's booming in that area.
Yes, I think that NASA did set back some of the homeowners as well as the business owners, but in the same respect, you've got so much more there besides NASA. NASA is still there. It does supply, us with quite a few people that come in and out with engineers, but overall, it's medical, oil, and gas.
Medical and oil and gas. And you're right. I think there was that little, people move there because of the quality and the ability to live on the lake, as you mentioned, right? There's a very high quality of life. There's the ability to be in the ocean or in the lake in literally in minutes right there. And if you're an outdoorsy type individual, if you like to, there's a lot of individuals who love fishing, who love to go out deep sea fishing, who love just the outdoorsiness, that is a great area because you're so centrally located to so many things.
Well, and we also have wonderful golf courses. So, you can't beat the golf course.
Right.
oh, I beat it.
Or it got you,
I leave
right?
big holes in it.
But when I decided to move over to the League City area, and I chose a lot and started to design the home that my 2 children and I wanted. And once I did that, sent it out for bid. And I knew quite a few of the builders in the area and really liked and respected all of them. But when it came down to choosing a builder, I did choose Avante. And Avante is owned by Trendmaker, and Avante is build on your own lot. They will build in the South area. They have a representative down there, Carolyn Lee, and then they also have a representative in the northern part of Houston.
Can we invoice Trendmaker?
Exactly, right? Hey, well, I have a question, speaking of that, what is the process in going through building your own home? I mean, that's one of the questions I get. I get a lot of questions on that in general. Not only from the finance, but they'll think, from a building perspective, what do you go through in that process, especially when we're talking about an area like Clear Lake, in which you also have things to consider, such as windstorm, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, Chris, can
Yes.
I jump back one question further than that?
Joe, it's not your show. No, I'm sorry about that.
You said when you were looking, you chose Avante.
Yes.
What was the motivation for you? What if there was a defining thing that drew you to that product? What was it?
Being able to really choose what I wanted and have the availability, whether you want to be on a high end or a low end. A lot of your custom builders are very high end.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say with Avante that you can't go out and spend a lot more money, but I wanted to have those options. I didn't want to be pressured one way or the other.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And I think the fact also that they're owned by Trendmaker, they have a lot of options
Yeah.
right there. They can build
Yes.
at those different levels.
And, of course, Avante now has their own showroom to look at granite, your tile, which is separate from Trendmaker because it's a little bit different high-end. And when you go to build, the most important is being able to sit down with the architect, figure out what you want. Now, Trendmaker does have plans that people have built on various lots for individuals. But if you want to take their plan and tweak it, they'll do that. I did sit down and personalize and design my own home. And from what I understand, I think that Trendmaker has taken a little bit of my home and made it a Trendmaker plan. It's not as large as my home, but it's very similar.
But
So that's
they've
good.
always had very innovative plans. I always remember looking at other builders, then look at Trendmaker. They always seem to be ahead of the curve as far as appeal and design, things like that. So let's go back to the Chris's question about what that process was like for you. You chose a builder. You're building an area like requires wind and storm and flood, and what kind of considerations you did. Talk about that process a little bit.
Well, you want to feel comfortable with your builder. You want to feel like they understand what the city is going to require, because every city is different, and especially when you get down close to the water, you even have more to take into consideration in regards to your windows, in regards to the slab, how close you are to the water. And I am on the water, so there are, quite a few things to look at. And when you go to design your home, and it's what has been approved by, say, an HOA, is not necessarily approved by the city, because you're only allowed certain width of windows when you face the water. And some people will put in a window and then change it out, but the bottom line is safety. You want to be able to walk away and know everything's okay. In regards to working with Avante, it's really well, I would say overall, if you can really discuss everything with whoever your contractor is. If you can have that relationship with your contractor and be able to talk with him and let him explain to you why they're doing certain things, and then explain to him that maybe you were unaware, because a lot of times there can be conflicts, but if you really sit back and listen and talk it out, and a lot of contractors do not.
And I think that's it. Communication is a big issue in building, because a lot of times it's like, why isn't anything happening? Nothing's happening there. What's going on? That sort of thing. Boy, I'm losing my voice today. Okay, y'all carry on.
No, but you're right. To go off what Rob was saying, I built a Trendmaker home from scratch, and I understand what you're saying, and I had an incredible experience. And I've also built homes in which I've had a bad experience. And, a lot of that communication is key, and also during that process is to understand that sometimes things are going to happen because of due process. You might not understand the reason why, but it happens because of that due process right there. And, a lot of things I've heard, obviously, down in the Clear Lake areas, you do have different challenges. You might have something approved by the HOA, as you mentioned. But then the city has their own requirements on how your building code goes and what you have to meet standards to certain aspects of things. And you have your windstorm, and you got your different inspection processes during that process, during the building process.
Yes.
And all those can impact things tremendously.
Ashley is either wishing us peace or reminding us that we have 2 minutes left in the segment.
That is correct.
One of the two.
That is correct. I think she was just.
She is a very peaceful person, I might add, but I think we have 2 minutes left. How do we get a hold of you?
281-889-1756. I am always available.
Say that one more time, by the way, for all those who are listening.
281-889-1756.
And you have a great team lead down there. Let me know a little bit about Larry.
Oh, Larry. Larry is our team leader at Keller Williams in Clear Lake. He is wonderful. He is our Superman.
He's your Superman.
He is our Superman.
I'll tell you what, I saw Larry not too long ago. Great individual, you're right. Great team down there you've got. And I know if Larry's in charge of everything down there, I'm a team lead, you're definitely in very, very, very good hands.
Oh, yes. And Keller Williams is now in the top 100, I would say, in the city of Houston for companies.
Wow, that is awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, we have a lot of stuff still to talk about, but we're coming up against a break right now.
We're coming back.
But we are coming back.
Okay.
We still have 3 segments to go. We have a lot of fun, a lot of great times. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
And it shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old Maggie Heath, babe, and it keeps it out of sight. You know when that shark bites with its teeth, babe, scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy gloves, though, where's old Maggie Heath, babe?
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. You know, Joe, for old time's
Joe,
sakes,
and Rob.
what we can do it on the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
It's like
There
this
it goes
every
right
week.
there.
I'm the straight guy.
You know, we are having a great time as
I'm
we always
curved.
do, and on a beautiful Saturday morning. And our next guest actually has a really neat story to tell, and more importantly, a couple of great stories to tell.
And
Number one,
and most of it's true.
that is correct. Most of it's true. Exactly. I haven't caught a lie yet, but you know,
names have been changed to
Number
protect the
one,
innocent.
you know, great individual, works for a great company, and is actually running for something within HR. We're going to talk about all this stuff right now. So, Sarah, how you doing?
I'm
As
doing
long as she's not running
fantastic.
from something.
That is correct. Well, she's always running from something, but you know that's a different story.
Yeah, and
I'm running from the law.
Sarah has a last name. It's Jones, which
it is
obviously
Jones, that is
an
correct.
alias. So, and she's with
Yes.
Bamboo Realty,
Bamboo Realty.
and they're a kind of a unique firm. So let's kind of talk about your formula for your business.
Sure. So my husband and I started our company back in 2009, and we did so because we recognized there was a big gap in service for people who relocated to Houston and wanted to rent. A lot of people move here for jobs. They aren't convinced they're going to stay long term, so they make a decision to rent for 12 to 24 months. Once they realize how fantastic Houston is, they get sucked into buying. So over time, our business model
They choose to buy. They're not
has-
sucked into buying.
They're sucked into buying. They're sucked into staying in Houston. It's a big funnel. They love it here.
Every time I think I get out, it pulls me back in.
That's exactly right. The job market here, the culture, the food, you
was a
can't leave the
terrible
Tex-Mex. So
Al
our
Pacino.
business model over time has evolved from providing services exclusively for renters to also for first-time home buyers, largely millennials.
Wow.
And are you familiar with Rob Hahn?
Yes.
So I figured you might be. And he is kind of I don't know if you call him a futurist, but he talks a lot about it. And he talks about the rental generation a lot in his talks. And a lot of people are coming out of college pretty indebted. They are, having $100,000.
Pretty indebted, yes.
Yes.
That's
And
a
so,
description.
yeah,
It's
we
not
talk-
pretty though.
Yeah.
They're just indebted.
Yeah. And see, now you made me lose my train of thought. But,
Massively indebted.
But what they're doing is they think they can't buy a house, or they're absolutely not in a position because they do have so much, student loan debt,
Right.
and they're renting. And Rob Hahn picked up on this and has spoken all around the country. He's usually at these big events and things like that as a speaker, and so that's probably what you were seeing too.
Yeah, so our experience is that when millennials don't necessarily have purchasing at top of mind when they get out of college. They do eventually buy, but it's usually a little bit later on. And so our average first-time home buyer is about 32 years old right now, where previously it might have been a little bit younger. So millennials will buy homes. They're starting to buy homes. The 2013 NAR survey suggested that 31% of home buyers were in the millennial age group, which is now the largest share. So finally, they're making this big splash in the housing market that we've all been waiting for.
Well, I've actually heard the term echo boomer.
Echo boomer, right.
It's because the millennials are the same size as the boomer generation.
Right.
And
And
so-
I would agree with you, by the way. I think that we're seeing a lot more first-time home buyers that are older, and I think a lot of that's also because, number one, what happened to us 5 years ago. The other thing is, I think, maturity. I think a lot of individuals, if you look at just the generational, right, people are getting married at a later age. They're buying homes at later
didn't I
ages. They're
think
having
about that?
children at later ages. Rob, you're a lost cause from that perspective. So, so there's a lot
Catch
of changes
and
going on.
release.
And
Hey, if-
within there, you at Bamboo
If the first
actually
8 times you
started
don't
the
succeed.
company. Yeah. You started Bamboo, and you have a really neat business philosophy around Bamboo Realty. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're in it for the fun. We wanted to have a sandbox mentality, and that's the culture that agents get when they work here. And it really filters out to the people that do business with us. They come back time and time again. I find that people move 3 times every 10 years in my generation. So we're either going to rent to them 3 times or we're going to rent a couple times and sell them a house. And it's all about the fun. Great
Really?
client
Did you say
3 times in
sandbox
10
mentality?
years?
3 times in 10 years. The sandbox
That's
mentality.
about
so,
playing nice in the sandbox.
Yes. I didn't want to, I could have been an independent agent or worked for a broker on my own, but I didn't want to work by myself. I wanted to have a team of people that really prioritized fun, just like you fine gentlemen do. And that's
She
who
called
I
us fine
surrounded
gentlemen.
myself.
That she doesn't know us very
wow.
We
well.
have this
Yeah.
tuxedo
She obviously doesn't know
t-shirts
us.
on. Degenerates.
Okay.
Now the truth comes out.
I resent that crack.
I resemble that comment.
Joe, you got to stop cracking up over there. And I would be remiss, by the way, we did not start off by saying this, is she is a special invite by OneGuard, one of our great sponsors.
Yeah, who was actually present today.
Who is actually present over here in the
Lee
corner.
Brockstein is hiding
We
in the
immediately
corner.
put her in the corner.
That is correct.
Well, 'cause, yeah.
No one puts Lee in the corner.
Yes.
So we do appreciate you bringing her on. And, of course, I got a chance to meet Sarah the other night at an event, and we had a lot of laughs that night. It was funny.
And what event is that, by the way? There was she is running for something.
Yes, that's right. That event was for Sarah.
That
And
is
she's
correct.
running for director for the Houston Association of Realtors. So realtors out there listening, give a consideration of voting for Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what brought you to want to run for one of the director positions of HAR?
Real estate is very local, and the ability of a realtor to sow into their own community is so important.
Right.
And I've been very fortunate to have my name, on the national stage. I'm a speaker on the national level, and I've been given some awards on the national level, and it became apparent that there was a gap in my own repertoire. And so I intentionally have started sowing down roots here in the real estate community, and I think running for the HAR board is very important. HAR is fantastic. They've been fantastic to me. I really believe in their vision of how they're moving the online component, HAR.com, forward with the statewide access, and I just want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of something great, and I want to help promote their vision.
And, for all those listening who don't know what HAR stands for, by the way.
I did say Houston Association of Realtors.
Okay, gotcha. Houston Association of Realtors. Let me tell you, I can tell you from an individual within the real estate community, but who is not a realtor, it's absolutely one of the most tremendous websites and resources that anyone can go to, whether you're an individual looking at buying a home and just need to have a good resource to go to, you're an agent and you're trying to obviously find your client the best deal, or somebody like me in the mortgage business who just wants to go out there and get some information in regards to taxes to set up their GFE correctly.
Yeah, and let me throw Zillow and Trulia under the bus right now.
Yes.
Often they talk about Zillow, and they say, well, there's 60-some-odd thousand listings on there. There's only 40-something listings on HAR.com. Why is that? Well, that's because a lot of those have expired and it's sold, and they're some of them are not even. Yeah, they're way behind.
As Pam was saying, yes.
And we update every 15 minutes.
Chris is now, after a couple of years of working together here, is thoroughly trained and says realtor every time.
Yes.
But now, thanks to Rob,
Fantastic.
I about have an aneurysm when I run into a realtor who says realtor.
Yes. Well,
I'm like, you are one, and you're not even saying it right.
Well, like I say, Trendmaker is not a billeter, and we're not realtors. It's realtors. Just two syllables. Don't overthink it. It's
I
pretty simple.
have been trained over the years very well. And
I just
Rob
could
is
never
my
afford
mentor
that
in regards
third
to that.
syllable. So
Anyway, and you made reference to awards. I think Inman put you as one of the top 100 most influential people in the industry, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did last year. That was extremely flattering and humbling. I saw it pop up in my Twitter feed, a couple of congratulations, and kept hitting refresh in case there was a duplicate Sarah Jones out there. But as it turns out, it was actually, for me, and I was very honored, and it's very exciting. So
Brad Inman's a really interesting guy to know, too. I've had dinner with him, he and Bob Hale, when I was chairman of HAR, and very innovative guy. He actually goes outside the industry to find speakers and brings in a whole different perspective for us to look at, because we are typically, as realtors, behind the curve,
right?
Especially on technology. We don't seem to embrace it a lot, and we got I'm used to doing it this way. I sell homes. I don't want to learn new stuff. I want to do it but slowly and surely we're dragging everyone into the 21st century, and of course we have people who are millennials who it's second nature to them, that you were never probably at a time that you didn't have some sort of computer in your house.
that is correct. And at Bamboo, we're a 100% paperless office. We have been
Awesome.
since day one. We write offers on iPads in 6 minutes using fantastic technology and electronic signatures and text messaging, Facebook messaging. We're very, very forward thinking.
And it actually makes you more efficient too. And there's
Absolutely.
that team in Austin also that was doing pretty much that same type of thing, technology.
That's the Good Life team in
the
Austin.
Good Life team,
Mhm.
exactly. And you can't go paperless, and it actually makes it easier on everybody. You don't have to carry a lot of stuff around. And if in this market, it's what I call a hyper market.
Right.
If you need to write an offer right now, we're not going back to the office.
Right.
To
Let's do it
fill
right
it
here
out,
in the
print it
car.
out. We can do it right here, right now. And by the time we leave here, we're going to have it transmitted to the listing agent before we leave this car.
And you know,
I went paperless years before technology allowed me to.
Really? You know, one of the things I tell everybody also about knowing with technology is the following and maybe Sarah, you can expand on this a little bit, is even though technology is very prevalent and it's something that we all do, it doesn't take away the tried and true mechanisms of doing business, right?
It's a tool.
It's a tool that you have in
you.
your toolbox. Doesn't replace still the human effort.
And you know, there was a
forward.
big fear of that when eRealty came out. And they were out of Austin, and people had fear that they were going to technology was going to displace realtors. Realtors
Right.
play an essential role in every transaction, and if someone hadn't gotten the value proposition across to the consumers, shame on us.
Right.
We're not. It's just a tool that makes it easier and more efficient, and you can actually move more quickly.
I would absolutely agree.
And I think of real estate technology as a calculator. A calculator is only effective if you understand the math behind it. And there's
Right.
no sense in training somebody how to use a calculator when you could be teaching math. And the same is true with real estate fundamentals. You want to teach them how to from A to Z before you teach them the technology, and the technology just makes them more efficient.
I would absolutely agree there.
Ashley just showed us 1 minute to the break.
1 minute to the break.
So, you know, while we're thinking about it, how do we get a hold of you? You want to look at your card here? Remember
Yes,
your phone
I have
number?
my business card here just in case. The best way to reach me actually is probably by email. It's Sarah with an H at bambooagents.com. Sarah at bambooagents.com. That's the best way to reach me.
And what is your website?
Bless you. Our website is also at bambooagents.com. We have a leasing website also for our rental division. It's bambooleasing.com.
Bambooleasing.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely want to get into that a little bit more when we get back right now, because one of the things we don't talk a lot about is about how big that market still is right now. I mean, a lot of individuals coming in, a lot of individuals are not necessarily looking at buying. And I want to talk a little bit about that market, what's happened in regards to rental rates, in regards to leasing rates, in regards to where you see that going forward. But as usual, our producer's looking at me saying, Chris, you got to hurry up and go to a break.
Yeah, we got.
I was reading Shut Up.
Shut
I
Up.
could have been wrong.
So, you know, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let my feet do things that they should do. You know what? You're lovely. You know what? You're so lovely. And oh, what you do to me. I'm like an ocean wave that's bumped on the shore. I feel so absolutely.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
We were having a lot of fun on the break.
I just want to
another
say,
break.
always the same. Every time I hear it, I want to do it. And Rob.
There we go.
Actually, I want to repeat Gap Crack with that voice on it.
I don't even. How would Simon do that? I'd have to.
Oh no!
I'd have
Oh
to-
no! Yeah.
I don't know, but if anyone wants to have a laugh, is on our Facebook
Website
page
and
our
website.
website. We have the last segment of last week's show. That was, if you want to
Ridiculous.
hear us completely out of control.
Yes. We're trying
We
to
were
stay
there.
calm and
It
collective
was-
today.
And
But you know, slap cracks, right? But you know, if you do want to call us, by the way, we are a live show. You can call us at 800-808-5548. Ask these beautiful ladies any questions you have in regards to real estate, building a new home, about Bamboo Realty, about what's going on with Keller Williams. You know, and I wanted to sort of come back after the break and talk a little bit more about rental. You know, one of the things that we're seeing, and one of the things that in fact, this came about last year, is that you had a lot of executives that were coming back in town, and you actually had a lot of the oil and gas reloads saying, you know, we're not going to pay for you to buy a home right now. We're going to get you into a corporate lease. And we saw a lot of that, you know, for the past couple of years because of the downturn in the market. They were taking these big hits a long time ago and sometimes selling the properties. We've really recovered, you know, obviously from a Houston perspective. We've really seen an increase in sales prices. But we've also seen a very steady and strong rental market. We've also seen rental rates go up. Can one of y'all talk to me about that?
Yeah, sure. So rental rates have been increasing since about through all time, really, Houston's only seen 1 year of decline in the past 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And that was a slight dip in 2009. So it's been steady stream for a long period of time. More recently, we've seen rates go up anywhere between 6 and 12% across the city, but within the 610 loop, right here in the heart of the city, more like 12 to 20%.
Good night.
Do you know what the average rental in Houston is right now?
What?
You won't believe it. $1,800.
$1,800. Wow. And within the loop, you're seeing almost a 20% increase within the loop. What's driving this right now?
Demand is driving it. There was a shortage of building going on for a period of time after the Wall Street bust, and people were not getting financing for homes, while builders were also not getting financing for their multifamily projects. So you went 2009, 10, and 11 with very few multifamily buildings opening, and then finally we're starting to get more increase and more building starts in the multifamily area. So there's over 40 under construction right now inside the loop. You drive around, you'll see them on every street corner. I think by the end of the year, we'll see another dozen or so get started. There's approved all the way through 2015 what's planned out. So there's hopefully, inventory will catch up to demand, but at this point it's still lagging behind, so we're still seeing the spike in rates.
Well, how about in the Clear Lake area and down all on the south side of town? What are you seeing down there?
It is so hard to keep a lease. All the leases go. We don't even get it hard before it is already leased.
Wow.
And if at all possible, we try to let all the agents know in our office, because they have so many people that have relocated to the area. And, of course, in regards to, like, the spike increase in regards to what people used to pay and what they're paying now is tremendous. If anyone calls me and they say, my lease is going to be up, I need to move someplace else, I'm like, if you can stay where you are, please stay there.
And that was my next question, is how do you advise individuals right now that are coming into town to talk about, two things. This is sort of a two-part question. Number one is, how do you advise them about what's going on with the leasing or rental market right now? Then also, what do you advise them in regards to purchasing versus leasing? Because that's another question a lot of times comes up is, should I lease for a year and then buy, or should I buy now? So answer both those if you don't mind, either which one of you.
Yeah, so when I am first introduced to a client and understanding what their needs are, I always ask the question of, how long do you expect to stay in Houston? And overwhelmingly, I hear 2 or 3 years. People don't move here and intend to stay for the longer term. So At that point, a rental decision is usually made, and I start to help manage their expectations on what the rental market here looks like. You can't move to Texas and get, the bells and whistles for $1,000 a month anymore. You can get the bells and whistles, like Rob said, for closer to $1,800 or $2,000. So we have a big influx from New York and Chicago and San Francisco, with the expectation they're going to save money on cost of living, but really it's equalized by the higher rental rates here. And as far as rent versus buy decision making goes, once people get to Houston, they realize they actually really like it, and their 2 to 3 year turn now becomes 5 years or longer. They say, gosh, is now the right time to buy? And that's when we have the rent versus buy, conversation. So we definitely have that very often in our business.
Oh, wow. And how about you, Pamela? Same thing?
Well, I've had quite a few people that either are moving from Los Angeles, a lot of people from the California area, and then some that move in from Louisiana. Well, you're looking at two different perspectives there. And what happens is the people that come in from L.A. and they are looking like, okay, we want to lease. Then they decide, no, we want to buy. But the tax rate here is so much higher on the property. And they're very surprised because $1 million home in Los Angeles is at 1.2%.
1.2.
And
here,
here,
they do pay income tax.
A $500,000 home is at 3.5%. So they're, they really like the idea that they're getting a newer home, but they're a little concerned over our tax rate. And when they come in, they decide, okay, well, maybe we're going to lease before we purchase to figure out what area, because someone may start off in the Houston Loop, decide that they would prefer to be closer to the water, or vice versa.
We actually have a phone call right now. We have an individual on the line. His name is Alan. Alan, how are you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing, guys? I got a question about Walker County, New Waverly area. Is that going to be a prospective corridor in the near future? Say 5 to 10 years.
Walker County, is it going to be a prospective corridor in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, based upon the information that I have read recently, yes, it should be.
Okay. Now, right now, would I like the country. I'm not a city boy or nothing like that. I love the country.
Right.
Is it the land value? Because I'm guessing they're going to build like they did Conroe. They just go in there and swarm everything and build up all around 45. I'm guessing 5 to 10 years, because Willis is on the rise like that right now too.
Exactly.
New Waverly will probably be right behind it.
It all depends on, the economics here. As long as we have the oil and gas and medical, yes, but then you also have to realize how far out do people actually want to drive to their job.
Yes, ma'am.
And more than likely in the area where you are or even further out, they're looking at that as a retirement area, or they're looking at it as a second home.
Okay. All right.
So the answer is, one of my favorite answers is it depends.
It's definitely maybe. You never know. What's fun about it is you never know. Something as simple as what's going on in the Woodlands is a great example. A company makes a decision to do what they're doing, Exxon and that big massive project out there, and that's created a whole new city in essence with its own range of drive time that someone's willing to go. The person that lived in Conroe may have never wanted to drive downtown to hold a job in oil and gas, but now they don't have to. There's a whole lot of options that are a lot closer to them. So those kind of things can alter what's happening in your part of the country as well.
And the evolution of construction and development often does flow along, major arteries such as 45, 59, I-10. I mean, it just makes sense because you have to have access to traffic. I mean, to be able to get,
Okay, well, I appreciate y'all show, and I thank y'all for answering my questions.
You bet. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
And those are always good questions because, as Joe was pointing out right there is, boy, if you look at where Houston was, and let's not go back too far. Well, let's go back far. Let's go 30 years, and then go 20 years and then 15 years, right? 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you drive out to San Antonio, and Katy was like far away. I mean, you would go out there and you'd see this little trickle of light, and you'd be like, I think that's over. That's a new subdivision they have off of Mason. And now there's no difference when you're driving to San Antonio. You got to get way past, Brookshire before you're really out of Houston nowadays, right? So, I mean, and you see those hubs, right? You look at all these hubs that have been growing. Same thing. You go down to your side of town now, you go down 45. You used to have these big gaps between Clear Lake and, let's say, the
Lake City down to
That is
Texas
correct.
City.
Right.
Now it's continuous.
Now it's
almost
all
the way.
continuous
Again,
right there.
The East
All the way
Coast
to
has been that way.
Galveston.
The megalopolis is what it is. You just go
Right.
from one city to another, and it just all blends together, and that's exactly what's happening to us.
The cracks are being filled in.
The cracks are being filled in. There's a subject that we're probably not going to drop ever.
I don't think we're ever going to drop it. It's always good for some good one-liners once in a while.
I don't know if we should charge PermaPeer extra or if we should give it free. I don't know how that breaks, which way it goes.
We're getting that 2-minute warning again, but when we come back, I want to kind of give Lee a chance to talk about one car a little bit, and then talk about the agents. Yes, we can. We are. If they paid I've already got their money for this month, so I
the bills. Okay,
the bills paid.
So, okay, well then it's fine.
No, Lee's always right. First person to pay
Snap
her
to it.
sponsorship. You bet. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, how important it is, and then talk with both of our guests here as how they utilize home warranties.
Absolutely.
And so, but we got another minute or so.
We still have a little bit, and one of the things also, getting back to the rental market and getting back to the expansion of Houston, one of the things that we always see is that and you were mentioning this, Sarah, as we're bringing more properties online, we're going to see the rental market definitely, I don't want to say soften, but sort of even out and sort of level out over a period of time, which will make it easier for individuals to find a place to live. I mean, one of the things I think we're seeing in the rental market is the same thing we're seeing in the purchase market. Multiple offers. You get, like you mentioned, person gets their home. They say, I want to put my home back on the market for lease. It's gone like that.
Yeah.
And so, how do you? We talked about this. Is how do you preface somebody? Same thing about a home buying. To be able to be prepared that you might not get that one home that you want to lease right away.
Well, we talk, managing expectations, and the same holds true for multiple offers. I tell clients right up front that if you can do a longer than 12-month lease term, you should. If you can pay cash up front for your lease term, you should. And if you can start your lease immediately, then you should. And we talk about how can they sweeten the deal. And that's really where we start. It's managing expectations.
And have great credit scores.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the landlords are being very picky right now.
Well, no,
and they can be.
It's kind of self-servingly asked that question, but
I
see it more. Yeah, I see it more and more in the leasing and rental market. It's getting just as hard to qualify for a lease or rental as it is for a home purchase.
I would.
People kind of have
agree.
this mistaken, idea that, well, my credit's messed up, so I'll just rent or lease. No, you might be living with mom.
Well, speaking of living with mom, we're going to be on a break here in a few seconds. She keeps looking at us right now saying, guys, it's already past the time. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When an irresistible force such as you meets an old immovable object like me, you can bet as sure as you live, something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Time flies when you're having great fun and when you're here with beautiful ladies with a lot of experience and, more importantly, some great information to hand out.
Yeah.
We roll with the same theme every week, and I'm always surprised when the beautiful ladies we have on are actually in real estate.
Yeah, we have criteria. It's an unwritten and unspoken criteria, so we won't go into that. But I did want to give Lee Brockstein, who's here today with One Guard home warranty, a chance. If you'd give her a microphone, she could probably say something.
Sure, why not?
And talk a little bit about, there's a lot of great home warranty companies out there, but we feel like that yours is greater. Tell us why.
You're the greatest.
The greatest.
We are the greatest.
Okay.
So I like to say home warranties in general, they kind of suck, and we suck the least. That's my tag.
You heard it here, folks.
She sucks the least.
I love that. It's
I suck the
our
least.
warranty company. We suck less than the others.
I suck the most, which could work well also. So basically, we offer things that no other home warranty companies offer. Our main thing is our rekey feature, which is really the best. We do 6 locks, we leave 4 keys. But on top of that, because a lot of home warranty companies do rekey, but we also will reprogram 2 remotes for the garage at the same time. And we can do it from the closing table, and no other home warranty companies will do that. But we also do things like we do pest control, we do carpet cleaning, we do window cleaning, we do lawn fertilization. So we offer all these special services that no other companies do. We have unlimited when it comes to the AC, but we also don't do any aftermarket parts.
And that was the part that really attracted me, because there's a lot of caps in some of these programs on the AC, and sometimes AC repair ends up being an AC replacement. And if you've got a cap on that, you're limited. If you have a $1,500 cap and you got a compressor that's going to take $2,000 to replace, there's a gap there.
Right.
So, anyways, let's talk to the ladies here about how they utilize home warranties in their business.
Well, I definitely always, even if the seller is not willing, I will buy it. And the most important, I guess, out of any home warranty plan is that you can contact someone.
And they call you back.
And they call you back. That's even better.
Seems like a little thing to ask for,
And, even though when you build a new home and you have that home builder's warranty that's for a year, maybe it's 10 years on certain things, I will still always have someone buy one. And I have one on my home. I think everyone should. And if I list a home, I purchase that one as well.
And you don't necessarily need to be buying or selling a home to get a home warranty. Is that correct, Lee?
That's correct, because we do have a home warranty for existing homes as well.
So you do?
We do.
Okay.
And we also only have a 5-day waiting period, as opposed to most home warranty companies have a 30-day waiting period.
Oh, only a 5-day waiting period.
It's only a 5-day waiting period. But we also have a new construction home warranty. So it has to be bought at closing, and it starts on the second year because the builder covers mechanicals for the first year.
Right.
So it covers years 2 through 5 because people forget that even though it's new, it's new construction and they're new mechanicals, things are still going to break down, but the builder's not going to cover them. So we do have a new construction home warranty that's a really great plan.
That is awesome. And I'll tell you, I am one of those individuals. I promote OneGuard quite a bit because I've seen your product in action. I've seen the individuals y'all have out there. You got great contractors, and I also love the reps. I got to admit that.
Yeah.
I think the reps are the best.
Absolutely. We got to give a big shout out, by the way, Natasha
and Kobe
and Cody out there.
With a B.
Yeah, Kobe. Sorry, I said Cody. Sorry, Kobe. Great individual, as you mentioned right there. You guys are the best, by the way. Every time I've known a client to have to call you or an agent gives you a call, you're right there on top of it. You follow right back up. That's just a indication of how good you guys are and what you guys do as a company.
And,
I've never had to call them. I just know they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun.
They are a lot of fun, too. We're the life of a party.
And that kind of brings up a subject right now that I've seen that's happening systemically out there in the brokerage world is
systemically.
Systemically.
Got to have that word back on Tuesday at the library.
Yes, it is. I've got on rental. But basically that you can't get people to call you back a lot of times, and there's a lot of unprofessional behavior on behalf of brokerages, not returning calls, not getting back with you, and especially you get into a multiple offer situation, you have no clue what's going on, and rental or purchase. Are you seeing a lot of that out there?
Yeah, we train all of our agents at Bamboo that if you don't pick up the phone on the first call or if you don't reply to emails within 5 minutes, then your prospective client has already moved on to another realtor and you have no shot at the business. So our goal is 0 calls to voicemail. And I think it's a broker level training issue that you have to filter down to the real estate agents.
Absolutely. Pamela,
Oh, yes. And we were talking about this earlier. You've got some people that will only text, and that's understandable. But if you're actually calling a brokerage firm, you want someone to pick up, answer your question right then. If you don't get it then, you're going to go to the next one in line.
I think there's a lot of lost business out there. It's just like, I think Joe says his best. He wants to write this book. Hey, please take my money. And you get this kind of behavior out there. It's like, really?
It is absolutely ridiculous. I could so rant all day about it, but even just this past Friday, I was trying to get something simple printed. It took them an hour and 6 emails and 3 phone calls just to get a quote. Just for a little print job. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I just want to give you my money. I just want this thing printed. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm not so sure that there is very good customer service in general with a lot of companies.
Yeah. And I've seen that.
And the customer comes first. I don't care. They come first.
And I would agree with you. And I think one of the things that we've had this issue in all industries. We're not just talking about our industry. I'm talking about in general. We've seen that as a country, we have grown tremendously. We've also taken a lot of production and client service offshore. And when you take a lot of that offshore, that there's a different philosophy, there's a different culture, et cetera, et cetera. And so one of the things that I think we've seen in general that I've been seeing is what used to make us very special in customer service and in client relationships, we're starting to lose a little bit of that. And I'm always preaching about how we have to get it back. Just in general, I don't care whether it's an auto sale or whether it's a real estate sale or whether it's a mortgage or whether it's, going to Macy's. We have to start getting that back because one of the things that makes us so good is individuals looking at the United States and going, man, they were just great. Even if it's your own mistake, the United States is always one of those we've stepped up as a country and as people that we do here. That's always defined us. And I never want to lose that definition of who we are. So, that's why I try to support individuals who have that great customer service because you need to get the word out. You need to get it out and talk about those things.
I think we'll have a big boomerang effect in people who prioritize customer service because for a while people were maybe prioritizing cost because they can buy things online for cheaper, or they were prioritizing how fast can I get something done versus the service that goes with it. Well, the rise in popularity of review sites like Yelp, reviews that you find on Google, in the real estate industry, a lot of talk about agent rating and review platforms. I think that the consumer today demands 5-star service, especially the younger agents. And, I can go to Yelp and see who's offering 5-star service, and that's where I take my business. And so I think we're going to see a big return to it.
And that's why you get that balance. That is correct.
Shameless plug for 3 years in a row. we've won the Houston Award for Excellence in Customer Service.
Which is
I,
fantastic.
Congratulations.
I have a high bar for what I expect from a business because we really try to live it. I feel like we put that out there in front. But there are some just basic
you're only 5 foot
things.
tall.
Answer your darn phone. Return a freaking email within 24 hours. I mean, I give you 24 hours. I would like it in an hour, but I'll be reasonable. But there's some basic things that a lot of businesses miss out on. It's so frustrating to see that in the instant communication era that we have. It is, if you just work with technology, it is very doable to stay in communication with folks in an expedient manner. So it's good to have folks that we invite on the show who exemplify that concept.
Otherwise, they would not be invited.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's it. And I agree with what Sarah was saying. I think there's coming back to that. And HR.com actually has one of the best systems out there because in some places, like on Zillow and things like, you don't actually have to be part of a transaction. Same with Yelp. They are rating agents on Yelp. That's where, if you have an iPhone, that's where Siri gets her information.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's free sources.
But
you don't have to be part of the transaction.
No.
But in HR, you actually have to be involved with the transaction to rate an agent, which pure.
We just got a 3-minute notice, and we like to go around. We'll do what we call as our rapid fire, which is in 30 seconds, let our listeners know what you would like them to leave knowing about you or the real estate industry today. And Sarah, we'll start off with you.
I think that what I'd like to tell people is just, re-identify with your roots and why you love Houston. What neighborhood do you want to live in? If you're choosing a real estate agent, find somebody that lines up with your preferences in that area, and you'll have a really good experience. So.
And how can we reach you one more time?
You can reach me on my email is best. It's Sarah with an H at bambooagents.com.
Sarah at bambooagents.com.
But if someone does call you, you will pick up the phone, though, right?
I will pick up on the phone, or I will send a text message saying that I am with somebody, and we'll return your call right away. But I'm very 24/7 communication is unfortunately part of our life today.
Absolutely. Pamela, how about you? What would you like to leave the listeners with?
Well, I have to agree a lot with Sarah, but also in the same respect, when you find that realtor, make sure that they truly understand what your wants and needs are. Go about what you want and what you would like to have, not the direction they are pushing you. So just choose an area, choose that realtor, make sure that they are available when you are.
And always hire a professional.
Always hire a professional.
Yes.
Pamela, how can we reach you again?
Well, you can email me at pamelasold@kw.com, or you can call me at 281-889-1756.
And, we want to give a big shout out to Avanti Homes and to Trendmaker Homes as well. You're a very important guest to theirs, and we love them as a company, as a sponsor, and as individuals who work over there. We also, Lee, want to thank you very much with One Guard.
My corner buddy over here.
Yeah. The corner buddy over there. Lee, how can we reach One Guard, by the way?
You can reach me at 713-703-8642 or at l.brockstein at oneguardhw.com. And I always return a phone call. The only time I can't be reached is when I'm in the shower in a presentation.
I definitely understand.
When she's showering in a presentation.
One of the things we always do, we leave the show with a good quote. Today we have Teresa Kennedy sending over this quote for us. Be gentle with your soul today. Yes, you have made mistakes, but you don't have to remind yourself over and over again. Say it one time, you messed up. Accept forgiveness and move forward. That again from Teresa's Corner. Until next week, guess what? We had a great time, but we are going to be out of here.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes,
That's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.